excited here on the Kelly Alexander Show to welcome Josh from Grammy-nominated band Need to Breathe. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. You have a new album out. We're going to talk all about it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Josh, just before we get into the new album, I did want to ask for people who don't know, because I know you didn't start with the band. I know you've been with them for a long time, but how did you actually come to join Need to Breathe?
Yeah, crazy enough. So I've been with the band for now, this is my 13th year, which is wild. That's been that long. But I was actually kind of a fan of the band. I've been playing in other bands and was a musician and but knew them kind of from just touring with different groups and stuff. And they were looking for a new keyboard player. And so I came into the studio on The Reckoning and did some tracking with on that record. And then yeah, and then Bear actually texted me. This was in end of 2010, and was like, "Hey, what are you doing next year? We're going out direct support for Taylor Swift. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And I've been around ever since. So, yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Can you tell us what the best thing is about being in Need to Breathe?
Oh man, that's a great question. For me, I think I really do enjoy the music that that we make. It's really honest and organic, and always kind of always has been. That's something that I think it would be hard to stomach if I was in a band or with a group of people that didn't care to be authentic with who they are and their music. And so it's very much like an overflow of who we are as people, and also like the art that we want to make isn't, let's try to make sure that we can fix the algorithm so everybody likes this. It's not that. It's like, what do we like musically? What kind of influences are we pulling in? And then it kind of just like really naturally flows out in this kind of thing that's always been honest and real. And that's just, I'm really proud of that.
During the pandemic, I know that a lot of artists, hunkered down, and some people worked on things and other people did not. But you guys had a big output, putting out an album in 2020 and then again in 2021, and now the new one also out. Can you tell us how you guys were able to do that and why you decided to be so productive during lockdown for many of us?
Yeah, so we had finished Out of Body, which came out in 2020. We were in the studio actually when we were getting text messages from friends like, "Hey, have you heard about this whole COVID thing? It's like kind of maybe a thing." And we were like, "What's going to happen?" We actually finished the record and then went home, and we were like, "I don't know if we're definitely not going to get to tour this record." They canceled our tour. And so we were just really not, we weren't sure we were going to do. And is that through that time of just like, I think, searching and trying to figure out, what was next and all this, just the world was in a crazy place. And we were too, as a band. Um, Bear started writing songs and he's like, "I know it's kind of early to be writing songs. We're just now putting this record out, but since we can't tour, what if we go and just kind of create for fun?" And we didn't even know it was going to be a record. We didn't, for Into the Mystery, we didn't go to that house saying like, "Let's go make the next Need to Breathe record." It was really like, all we know to do in this moment is create, and we want to be together because we were in a really sweet spot, like culturally and personally. We were like really enjoying each other's company, and so yeah, so we went and made a record in like 3 weeks in a house, and we stayed there the whole time, never left. And it was a really sweet time. And then we also did like a pandemic, like I guess you would call it like a COVID show, where we filmed it and or like recorded it, and there was like pods and people were in there, like it was such a weird vibe, but the show was really cool. So we recorded it. So we released a live record, and then we released another live record. So we put out, essentially this will be our fifth record since COVID. I mean, since 2020, which is kind of wild. We just have not stopped, but we're not tired. We really are like enjoying it, and it just feels like the right thing to do.
I did want to ask you, just as a human, how did you find going through pandemic? And now that we're out the other side, like, do you have a deeper appreciation for everything you have, your family, your music, your solo stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, I was really fortunate. I didn't have anyone that got, really sick, or I didn't get sick. My family just stayed fairly healthy. So very fortunate that, but personally, and like for my mental health, it was a tough time. I had a really tough time with it. just anxiety and, the idea of I don't want to get sick. I've got kids. I don't want to, what happens if something happens to me or happens to them? But then also just like, what if we never get to play music again? Or what does touring look like when you have to, when your job is like, hey, let's cram as many people in this room and enjoy this music together. That was like, will that ever happen again? So there's all kinds of stuff like that that played into it. But now, yeah, being on the other side, I'm really thankful that you know that through that I just gained a lot of appreciation for for what I get to do for a living, the people that I do life with, and, my family and friends, and the guys in the band, and it's just I really do like love what I get to do and the life I get to live, and I definitely don't want to ever take that for granted again, and that definitely helped me realize that for sure.
So the new album is called Caves, and I'd love you to explain the title for us, and also if it's a collection of songs or if it's thematic.
Yeah, the album Caves is kind of it is a little thematic, I think, but it's not necessarily intentionally thematic, which is kind of a common theme with Need to Breathe. We always create, and then we have all these puzzle pieces, and we're like, oh, now you can see where the band was at for the past year and a half, and it kind of naturally flowed into this thing that, you know, um, is a body of work. Caves really is about just as artists, we say that we have to kind of go to the dark places, internally, and when we're writing, to kind of reckon with where we are and who we are and what we're trying to say, and you have to live in this kind of in this dark world a little bit in order to hopefully come out on the other side of it and be like, okay, I'm learning how to figure this out, and I'm now we're kind of coming out of this. And so that's kind of what Caves is about in some ways, as artists, to kind of go to those places that not everybody wants to go to, and talk about the things not everybody wants to talk about, but then coming out and celebrating where the journey and where we've come, how far we've come. And and I feel like with that, thinking about the dark times and now where we're at today, that thematically bleeds into the whole record. We say that this is the most thankful record we've ever made. This is our ninth record. And the band's had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of, good times, really hard times. And we're in this really sweet season that it really feels like we're coming out of the other side of that, where it's like we have a song called Sunshine. It says you're living in sunshine. We really do feel like right now is this sweet time where we are living in sunshine as a band. And we also are not naive to we know that may not last forever. So right now we're really thankful where we're at, and I really think when you listen to the whole record, it kind of feels that way. It's like there's songs that kind of point to that and show that the band is really kind of, in my opinion, firing on all cylinders, and just really doing some things that I think that only a band that's gone through what we've gone through could actually do that at this point in our career.
Would you say, Josh, that the album is overall in tone and in energy upbeat? Because I know, for example, I deal a lot with pop acts, and how,
Mhm.
like, coming out of pandemic again, everybody just kind of wanted to dance and just
Yeah.
feel good and kind of do that. So do you think in the genre music that you guys do, you guys, as well as some of your colleagues, for lack of a better word, in other bands, are also wanting to express that upbeat nature?
Yeah, I definitely think that we have that. I always kind of describe our music as anthemic. So it's almost like, you may not want to dance to it, but yeah, maybe you will want to dance to it. Hopefully you do. But it's something about it feels lofty and feels like larger than life. And it's the idea of like the kind of music, hopefully, that you would go to a show at an arena and you're with thousands of other people all singing the same thing, and you're just like, this feels inspirational. This is like, I can do this. I can, make it through the day to tomorrow. Like, that's kind of the music that we've always made. And we always say, like, we're a band that likes to ask questions, but we don't want to give you the answer. You kind of fill in the blank. And so I feel like that is this record too. It's like, I think that there's a lot of inspiring stuff on it. There are some tough stuff, we're talking about. But also, I think at the end of the day, it is a lighter record. It feels very much like you could put it on and from start to finish. I think it will put you in a better mood listening to it, maybe even more so than some of our other records, which is it's I think it's a testament to where we're at right now as people, and where we're at as a band.
You guys have some amazing features on this album. Old Dominion, which is one of the first singles that came out, Wasting Time, they're on it. Then you've got Carly Pierce. You have your opening act, Judah and the Lion. Can you talk to us about what it was like to, like, how did the collaborations come about with, let's say, Old Dominion and Carly Pierce, for example?
Yeah, we've always liked to collaborate with people. We um, we know that when you work with people, you get their strength and they see your blind spots and vice versa. And so we've always loved that idea. We've done it with other artists before. These were really natural in a lot of ways. So like we did this um, Allman Brothers tribute up in New York at the Beacon Theater. And we were playing, and Old Dominion was there, and we kind of knew who they were, and we had met them kind of in passing a couple of times, but we actually got to hang out with them, and we realized, you know, that what they do is a lot like what we do. We kind of built this live business, and our touring is really strong, and theirs is as well. And we just started talking. They were like, "Man, we've been watching you guys for a long time. We've been fans of the band since The Reckoning," and we were like, "Whoa, that's so cool." We had no idea. And we were like, man, we should do something sometime. And we actually sent them a song, "Wasting Time," and they immediately came back, and they were like, we're in. We'd love to do it, which is cool because the band's based out of Nashville now, which we were in Charleston for a long time in South Carolina, and so we're kind of building community with a lot of people that live in Nashville and are friends with us, and Carly was the same way. It was just like we were fans of her and her voice and love what she's doing in the country music space, and we were like, hey, it would be great to have a female voice on this, and kind of sent it to her, and immediately she was like, I've been a fan of you guys for a long time. And when you think about a band like us, this is our ninth record, we've been a band longer than she's been an artist. So it's kind of crazy to think about that. So now she's doing her thing, and massive, and same with Old Dominion. We're just really thankful to have people that want to come along and do stuff together with us, and both of those artists, they're just so great at what they do. They're high, they're top of their class as far as that goes, and same with Judah and Lion and Foy Vance. And yeah, it is kind of I think it's a star-studded affair when it comes to this record with the features. We're really honored that they would be a part of it.
Who would be next on your bucket list for your next album, do you think, that you want to collaborate with?
We've always said, Bear, our singer, has always wanted to sing with Dolly Parton. I know a lot of people probably would say that, and for us that'd be so fun. We're also massive Springsteen fans, so if we could do something with Bruce, or just anybody that you know that we just have like looked at for a long time, and like that's how we want to do our career. That's how, I mean, before Tom Petty passed away, I think that we would all say we wouldn't be a band without Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. So yeah, that would be, I mean, if we could bring Tom back, I think that would be our number one for sure.
Is there anybody in the pop space? Because I know you guys were on tour with One Republic, which are like the kings of
Mhm.
pop in a way. Do you think you guys would mesh well with a pop act like a One Republic?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think what's interesting about our band, and we know this about ourselves, but we kind of bend and weave through genres a lot of times. So like we like to think that we're a rock band because of our live show. But if you listen to our records, it's like a playlist. You've got rock, you've got pop, you've got gospel, you've got country, and that, to us, I've always said, like, if you were like, what does this sound like? The biggest compliment would be if somebody else, if you heard another band, they're like, it kind of sounds like, I don't know, like Need to Breathe, kind of like that, because it's such a cornucopia of colors and different things. And I think that would be, I think that's something that is really rare. I think of bands like, I don't know, like Dave Matthews Band or somebody like that. It's like, oh, that kind of sounds like Dave Matthews Band. Like they kind of created their own thing that sounds like a lot of different things, but it's got this thing that. So, but I mean, we've done some stuff in the pop world. We had our biggest song had Gavin DeGraw on it, which was cool, and then She's country pop, but we did a song with Carrie Underwood on our last record. So we definitely flirt around that line a little bit. And I think that we love a good pop melody. So that's something that's important to us. So I think it would be fun to do something with I just was watching the VMAs the other night and I saw that NSYNC might be getting back together. So I'm like, hey, if NSYNC wants to do a collaboration with Need to Breathe, we're totally in. Let's bring it back. I'm all about it. So, I mean, country pop, dirty pop, it's all the same
That's amazing.
thing.
I know that you guys filmed some documentary footage and are putting out a documentary about the making of Caves. And I actually watched some of it. I haven't had a chance to finish it yet, but what I watched so far looks really amazing. The scenery is beautiful. It looks like you were in such a great space to record. Josh, was it good to have the film crew with you? Did you find it intrusive? Like, how did the filming go for you?
It's funny, we always say that if, you film a documentary for a record, you're probably going to lose a member of the band because that's just kind of how it goes. Because they're always like in your face, like, tell me about why you hate Bear, or tell me why you hate this band and process. Why is it so hard? So we've always laughed like, we don't want that to happen. And that has happened in the past with documentaries for other bands and for our band. So, um, the good thing about this project, I think, and the thing that makes it really cool is we had one guy who was filming everything, and he was a friend of ours. So like we never felt like we were on or we had to be on. Like what you see in the documentary is actually us working, hanging out. There's never a moment where anybody's like, okay, I got to look cool for the camera. I got to do this thing. I got to make sure I'm looking really intense about this part that I'm trying to play on mandolin. No, it was never that, which in the past, maybe we've had some of that. We actually knew him really well. He's been a friend of ours for a long time. So that made it so much more fun. And you just we trusted him so much. Like he was in there with us the whole time and we never even thought about it. So what he was able to get is like the most raw, like beautiful footage of a bunch of guys that really care about their work and their, the thing that they're trying to make, the art. And you get to actually kind of see it come together in real time. And it's not put on, which is really could be a scary thing, but for this was really refreshing and it's like really fun to go back and watch. We were kidding around about it because there's like all these moments where you're like, we're trying to remember how a guitar part got made. And we're like, I don't remember how that actually happened. And you see it in real time. It's like one guy will be like, what if you did da 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 da, whatever? And then one of the guys like, what if you change that note or whatever? And you see it kind of come together and then you record it. And it's for us, it's like, it feels like such a cool thing to get to watch it because it's like home videos almost of like creating these memories and your family and they're doing something beautiful together. It's really cool. I love that we have that and the fans can see kind of behind the curtain in that way.
Now you guys are heading out on tour. Two-part question to this. I didn't see any Canadian dates, so are you ever going to come up here? And B, what can your fans expect from the tour?
So there will be some Canadian dates. We're trying to figure out details about it, but it will happen. I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. We're figuring it out. We love playing in Canada. We've been there many times. We did full Canadian tours where we go all over, and I love it. I spent a lot of time in Toronto, and I'm there all the time, which is cool. And so we'll definitely be there. And the tour is going to be crazy. I mean, we always try to like level up our tours, and it's whether that's just with production, with video walls and stuff like that, but also like when you're a band that's been doing it as long as we have, this is our ninth record. You're like, we got a lot of songs to choose from. So we try to do like new arrangements, try to pull from the catalog from songs that you may not think you're going to get to hear. And then we have a lot of new music now to play, which is really cool. So, and we're really excited about playing these songs. So I think you'll get to hear a lot of the new record, which is cool. And like Judah and the Lion, they're such a great band and so fun to watch. It's a lot of energy. And we just love hanging out with them. So it's gonna feel like summer camp in the fall, which is so fun. Like that's the best thing about touring is like when you actually enjoy the people that you're with. And I think that the fan experience is better because they can see like they get to come to the party, um, and it doesn't feel like work. So I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for people to see the show. It's going to be epic.
Just a couple of quick questions before I let you go. First of all, I have to
Yeah.
ask you about VHS jams. Are you going to do more
Oh
of
yeah. Yeah, so it's funny. So for those that don't know, I have a massive VHS collection. I've started collecting them during the pandemic because I would go to like Goodwill and I'd wear my mask and go through all the videotapes and like I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my time. I'm just gonna start watching old videos and like I wanted to go back and watch movies that I'd never seen before. That was kind of my thing. And I was like, why not watch these like old 80s and 90s movies on VHS? Because that's how you would have watched them back then. And so then I had this like wall of all these VHS, and I was like, I'm terrible at social media, and I was like, I'm just gonna do something fun and pick my favorite songs from these movies and sing them, do a cover in front of the thing. So yeah, I would love to do more of it. People, it's funny they when I did like four, I've done like I've probably done like 6 or 7 of them, I guess, at this point. And people will send me these, hey, you got to do this song, you got to do that song, and from this movie, and like, and then it inspires me too because I'm like, oh man, I don't think I've seen that movie. I'm gonna go watch it and listen for the song. So I'm a big movie guy. I love it. So yes, more coming. I will definitely be doing some more of those.
And as a good Canadian, I have to ask you about why you love Sharon Lois and Bram so much and what it was like to actually become friends with them because they are legends for us here in Canada.
That's all. Yeah. So when I was a kid, to make a long story very concise, but when I was a kid, the Elephant Show, Sharon Lois and Bram, came on Nickelodeon in the States after it had been on in Canada for a long time. And when I was a kid, I just like it blew me away to watch these like performers sing and dance and like they were engaging with children but they weren't talking down to me as a child. It was very much like it felt like family to me. And so I used to sing with my grandparents all the time. We would sing their songs. My grandmother died when I was 10, and my um, grandfather, my family, they encouraged me. They were like, to hold on to those memories of singing those songs. And so I used to collect like their records and tapes and all this stuff, and just kind of it would remind me of my grandmother, but also remind me of that. And when we were on tour with Taylor Swift about 10 years ago, I just reached out to their like they weren't even really doing anything at this point, and I was just like I reached out to somebody on an email. I can't even remember where I got their email, like a manager, and I was just like, hey, I know you guys probably don't want to come see Taylor Swift, but if you have grandkids that love Taylor Swift, I'd love to like treat you all to send them to the show. And I ended up meeting them, like going to coffee with Sharon, and we've become like, I mean, they're literally like family, like my grandparents, and I see them multiple times a year. My kids go to their house and we sing together. I've got videos of my kids singing Skinnamarink in Sharon and Bram's house and like all this. I mean, it's just like, to me, it's like a full circle thing. And I definitely wouldn't be in music and be in Need to Breathe if it wasn't for watching them. So, um, for me, like, I thank you, Canada, for giving us Sharon Lois and Bram and sharing them with the United States, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without them for sure. So
Gosh, that is so cool. I have to ask you this, two quick questions. Who is the
yeah.
coolest person in your phone that you can call or text that's not family or friends? And also, which artist would you love to change places with for one day just to see how they live?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Probably in my phone, maybe Carrie Underwood. That's a pretty good flex.
Yeah.
So we as I'll say this really quickly. With this wasn't that long ago. Our guitar player filled in for Winona and was playing guitar for her. And the other day we were talking about something, and he was like saying something about Winona, and I was like, "Look, you text Winona, I'll text Carrie Underwood. Let's see who texts first, or texts back first." And Winona texted our guitar player back within 3 seconds, but I had about 45 seconds, and Carrie texted me back. I was like, "That's pretty good, but Winona, you win." So Carrie, and then um, trade places with. Oh man, you know. like, I mean, I will say, like, I've always thought Bruce Springsteen's the hardest working guy in show business. To think that he after this long, he's still leading his band and he's still crushing it. I think that would be pretty fun. Although it would be pretty cool to be just like a DJ. I was thinking like if I could just show up and do these festivals with a backpack and then just show up and make millions of dollars, just kind of doing it. I'm not saying they're not great at what they're doing. They're amazing, but just the overhead would be way better than what we do. Make a lot more money. So yeah,
It's
maybe
true.
that.
Josh,
Yeah.
you have been a delight. I just thank you so much for spending time with us. And I'll let everybody know that they can follow the band, of course, on needtobreathe.com and, of course, on social media at Need to Breathe. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, it's Kelly, and I just want to take a moment to thank you so much for all of the support that you continue to show The Kelly Alexander Show and our latest program, Just Dance, that I co-host with award-winning choreographer Tina Landon. We've been having so much fun on Just Dance, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. We've done interviews with Brian and Scott Nicholson, who work with Ariana Grande, RJ and Nick, who work with Pink and Katy Perry, Luther Brown, who works with our girl Janet Jackson, and the list goes on and on. And we also have many surprises coming for you in this coming year. So please sign up and join us to have lots of fun. hy.page/Kelly Alexander Show, our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, and our newsletter, which is kellyalexandershow.com/subscribe.